You then formed a team with Martel. What are the memories of working with the model, Rick Martel, we're talking about, in Strike Force?
Well, a lot of people don't remember this, but Rick and I teamed up in the AWA for Vern Gagne for a short period of time, and we wrestled against Greg Gagne and Jumping Jim Brunzell. You know, there was a great territory also, and we got over real big there. And you know, of course, we were not going to get over Greg Gagne because it was the son of the promoter.
Yeah,
so I ended up having to leave the territory at the end of that feud. But I mean, we had a lot of charisma, and we really gelled even back then. It was so nice to be teamed up with another guy that you knew could carry, you know, his end of the stick, and you know, I knew that I didn't have to worry about Rick Martel getting high and not showing up for a show. And, you know, we were very reliable, both of us.
We're talking to Tito Santana, Hall of Famer. Now, Tito, in a previous interview that you had, it mentioned that you wanted to be a heel, rather this babyface to the fans, but Junior wanted Martel to be the heel, right?
Yeah, you know, the reason we split up is somebody in Rick's family had an illness, and Rick took some time off, and that's why we dropped the belts to Demolition, and he was gone for, you know, I would say close to a year, thereabouts, and I knew he was coming back, and, you know, they told me he was coming back, and I went up to Vince, and I said, Vince, would it be okay if I'm the heel? And I didn't know this, but, you know, I'm sure they had already written the script for the model, and, you know, they had it all planned out, and, you know, I had no idea that, you know, I mean, he came in with the gimmick, the model, and I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, personally, I would have hated that you turned heel, man. I'm glad you didn't. But do you think you turning heel would have extended your run in the WWF?
Yeah, you know, I just wanted to get involved, you know, and you know, it almost seemed to me like the heels are the ones that had the most fun, and the ones that had control of the match, and I just felt that I knew our business so well, that I was such a good worker. You know, I had a lot of confidence in me being a good worker. I just saw the transformation of different guys who had gone from good to bad, that were able to do it. And I used to think to myself, well, I know I'm a better worker than they are. I know that I can be a better heel, and they've become pretty successful. And I used to see them having fun, and you know, I do believe that I would have had a longer run than I did. I thought I was going to have a run with El Matador, and nothing happened, you know. Mm-hmm. So maybe Vince was not going to give me a run no matter what.
Now, I also heard that El Matador gimmick or character you weren't too fond of, right?
No, I never. The only reason I went for it was because Vince asked me to do it, and I thought he was going to push it because he did spend a lot of money to you know, trying to get the gimmick, you know. By the time we did vignettes, and I went to Tijuana to train to become a bullfighter, you know, I figured he's putting a lot of money into it. And we were at one of the TV tapings, and I asked Vince, I said, Vince, because you know, I could see a lot of merchandising. You know, I figured, you know, the little the red capes and swords and hats and all kinds of merchandising stuff that I was thinking about. And I said, what kind of merchandising is coming out on El Matador? And Vince says, well, why don't you go ahead and call the merchandising department? So I did, and I asked him, and they said, the only thing that's scheduled is the little 6-inch doll figure of El Matador. And I said, are you sure? And they said, yep, that's the only thing that's scheduled. I called my wife on the phone, and I said, they don't have any plans for El Matador. You know, there's no merchandising. They're not going to push it.
And is that when you knew that your run in the WWF may be slightly going downhill there?
Yep.
All right.
Well, not only mine, but by that time, most of the guys that were, you know, my era, including Rick and Hulk and Beefcake and Mr. Wonderful, and all those guys were gone. You know, we were getting replaced with guys that I didn't even know who they were.
Right. Now, with WrestleMania 25 right around the corner, you are, man, a big part of the makeup of WrestleMania, being a part of Vince's Super Bowl of Wrestling in '85. What was your initial reaction to you being the first match on that card? This is the first WrestleMania, and you are the very first match.
Initially, I was a little, I was kind of upset that I was the opening match.
Mm-hmm.
Because I considered myself a main eventer by then. I was the Intercontinental Champion, or chasing the Intercontinental Champion, and here I am opening up a show. And not until right before I went out, Vince McMahon came and told me, he says, the reason you're the opening match is because I needed somebody to go out there and get the people off their ass. He says, this match is very important.
Right.
It took a different meaning when he told me that.
I would say that first match was just as important as that main event on that night.
Yeah, I just wish I would have had somebody better than that fat mask guy that I had to go up against.
Yeah, the Playboy Buddy Rose.
Right, I wasn't able to do, I had never worked with him in the first place, and I would have liked to have had a different match. I would have loved to wrestle with somebody like Mr. Perfect or Mr. Wonderful, that type of style,
Right, doing some more of the acrobatics and things like that. Right?
Yeah.
Right. 9 years later, from this first WrestleMania, you were still competing for the company at WrestleManias. One right off the top that's memorable in my mind, I think it was WrestleMania 9. It was with Shawn Michaels. I think
Papa Shango.
Oh, was it Papa Shango number 9?
I believe Shawn Michaels was WrestleMania 8, wasn't it?
Okay, was it 8?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you actually led a hand in helping Shawn Michaels when he went solo by putting him over a little bit at that WrestleMania.
Right. I knew that the transformation of the new wrestlers had begun. The Shawn Michaels was going to start getting pushed, and a bunch of new talent was going to start getting pushed.
I can remember Reba McEntire there, and I mentioned this. Yeah. I remember this fondly because Bobby Heenan, he was commenting on Reba being there, and he goes, Reba McEntire, there goes Tito's sister, and I'm busting up laughing on the floor because he's mentioning Reba McEntire because you were there.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, when she came out of the ring, I believe I kissed her hand.
Right, that's right. Yeah, you did. You did. I remember this. Dave, you remember this time?
I do remember that. That was awesome.
Okay, the Hall of Fame, WWE's Who's Who of the Company, 2004. You're inducted by Shawn Michaels. Can you explain to us some of the feelings you were experiencing on this night? Hall of Fame's coming up.
When I left the WWF, I left and, I left for good, and I never really called Vince to work anymore. And like a lot of the guys have called him to go back, and I never have called him. Whenever they've called me to do a thing here and there. As a matter of fact, I just got invited to go to the next WrestleMania.
Oh, wow.
In Houston, coming up in April. But I never, the only reason that I went to that was because, the money was pretty good. And I would have kicked myself in the butt if I had not gone.
Mm-hmm.
After the experience that I had, I wouldn't have missed it for the world, because it was a great experience, and I never realized how important it was for my career. To hear Shawn Michaels say what he said about me, I never realized, at the time I had been in the company probably longer than anybody else, because I think Hulk had come and gone, and according to Shawn, some of the guys talked about they would love to have the position that I was in. So I must have had a pretty good position because, a lot of the guys wanted that position. As I experienced the whole thing, it developed its own meaning in my life, and I was just so grateful that I was able to experience that. I wouldn't have known what I would have missed if I would have turned them down. Because if they hadn't offered me the kind of money they offered me, I wouldn't have gone.
So are you planning on making the trip to Houston this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
My family my mom lives 50 miles south of Houston, and my brothers and sisters, so it's going to be a great experience, to go see my family also. It's a free trip, and I'm getting paid